Got a new pistol here. This is a Smith Wesson Shield Plus in 9mm. This has been my latest purchase, and the reason behind grabbing this guy is because I had been all in on the Sig P365 system of guns. As you can see right here, I have my XL, which is the gun that I carry most of the time. I also had a plain old 365, the smallest one they have, with like the 3-inch or so barrel, flush fit 10-round magazine, so shorter grip. And those were my two micro compact guns that were in like my regular rotational carry. However, I've left Sig and gone to the Smith & Wesson here because I personally know two people whose 365s have had out of battery detonations and blown up on them. One of which left a scar on my buddy's hand from the frame cracking and the explosion. So while I personally had no issues with either of my 365s, that hits a little too close to home, and I don't trust these guns anymore for a duty or carry capacity. If this is what's sitting in my waistband, and in the unfortunate scenario to where I need to draw this guy and use it in that real world context, I want complete faith in this, and I don't have that anymore. If you do, that's fine. I really don't care all that much what you carry. So if you're all into the Sig, like I was, right on, man. Keep on doing what you're doing. However, I am not. So that is the quick version as to how I ended up with this guy right here. Now, this is not the first time I'm opening this box. I have opened it. I've fiddled with the gun already, but it's nice, clean-cut packaging for video purposes. So let's open it up and get the gun out itself. So you get the gun with a flush fit 10-round magazine and then a 13-round mag, which protrudes from the bottom of the grip itself, so you can get a nice full grip on it there. We'll do it with the box because who cares about that. Specs for the gun itself here. Right off the bat, this guy weighs 19.3 ounces. I don't know if that's with or without an empty magazine. It's just straight off their website. It says 19.3, so it's in that ballpark of things. The width, which is a very important metric for concealed carry, is 1.1 inches. The overall height of the gun, 4.6. The overall length of the gun, 6.1 inches. The barrel length is 3.1 inches. And that flush fitting magazine holds 10 rounds. So you can get 10 plus 1 in the gun itself with a flush fit magazine. What kind of gun is this, essentially? What class, what type of frame? This falls into the category of what you call a micro 9 or a micro compact. So the first one that came out with this form of gun that kind of made the class of gun, if you will, was the 365. This is a 365 XL, hence the XL on the slide, which has like a ½ inch longer barrel and a longer grip that a flush fitting magazine in this guy fits 12. So the original 365 had a 10-round flush fit magazine, so it was about like that much less pistol grip and that much less of a barrel. That was the first 365 I bought, and I like the gun a lot. Like I said, I've invested lots of money in holsters and accessories on the 365 series. But that is the gun class that the Shield Plus falls under, is kind of those micro 9s. Some would call them subcompacts, but I think that fits a different niche. Not to divert too much. Glock 19 compact. For me, a subcompact would be a shorter grip and a shorter barrel on this width size of a frame. I think that's the Glock 26. I don't know Glock's nomenclature for models, but to me, that's a subcompact. These guys are micro compacts. Again, it's just terminology differences. Maybe you agree with that, maybe you don't, whatever. I'm just clarifying it so that we're all speaking the same language and all on the same page with this. So I carry these guys, I carry the micro compacts for one reason and one reason only, and that is concealability. That's it. This gun, Glock 19, is a easier gun to shoot than this Glock 42. Like a micro compact but single stack in 380. All right. What makes pistols difficult to shoot is that I only have 2 points of contact: firing hand, non-firing hand on the grip, and that's it. So the more grip I have, inherently, the more real estate I have to control the weapon system and put my bullets where I want them to go. So concealability is the main thing I'm going for with these small guys, because if I could, and sometimes I do, I'll carry a full-size duty gun. This one has a 4-inch barrel, but a full-size grip. It all depends on what I'm doing. Different tools for different jobs. But I say all that to make the point home, to send the point home, I should say, that this guy is carried as like my EDC, my everyday carry gun, where concealability is my main priority. Engagement likelihood is very low, as it normally is, and I'm going for comfortability and concealment as opposed to usability and functionality per se. Now, getting into the gun itself, let's start with the grip and the texturing on the grip. I really like it. It's aggressive, but not overly so. Smith's M&P series, like what this guy is right here, M&P 2.0. This gun is pretty worn in. I've got thousands upon thousands of rounds on this one in particular. And even still, this is aggressive stippling. When I carried this gun before, unless you're wearing an undershirt, you do feel this rubbing up against your stomach, which that may annoy you, that may not. That's kind of an individual thing. But this grip texture is in between this aggressive texture and the Sig 365, the stock grip, if you will. So I like that. It wraps all the way around the back. I would like some up here, I think. I'll have to shoot it and really figure that out, but I wouldn't mind if that kind of creeped up a little bit more. Again, I haven't put rounds on this yet. This is an unboxing video, if you will, initial impressions kind of thing, but we'll see. The texturing on the mag release is very aggressive. This stuff that we got going on here is more aggressive than what's on the actual gun. Maybe it's because like the plastic or the metal that they used for the magazine release. That's just the way it ended up working out. But this grabs your thumb a lot, which isn't necessarily a bad thing per se. Now, what really attracted me to the Shield, as opposed to the Glock 43X or the Springfield Hellcat, and what I like better than the Sig itself as well, because I shot all three of those guns before I ended up settling on this guy. I haven't shot this guy yet, but I have handled it. And the reason why I kind of took that leap of faith, if you will, and went with this guy without having fired it, as opposed to when I shot all the others, was because of the frame geometry and the width of the grip itself. I like what's going on here. There's more real estate to grab onto on the Smith. Let's see if we can kind of line that up. On the Smith than there is the Sig, if you can see that difference there, right? And that's a key. Try to line it up as best as possible. See that? That right there, that overhang? That is real estate. That's filling my palm. It's opening up my hand so I can get more of my palm and the meaty portion of my thumb onto the pistol grip itself. We mentioned that briefly earlier, that grip is the most important component of pistol shooting. So the more grip I can get on these small, snappy guns, the more control I have, and in part, the more accurate I can get rounds on target quicker. So with these guys, you know, again, it's kind of that trade-off between concealability and shootability. I can shoot this gun pretty well. Like this fits nice, but I definitely feel more cramped on the Sig 365 XL or 365, whichever, than I do on the Smith here. So I really, really, really like that. And the way it sits, I haven't put this in my waistband yet because I'm waiting on the light to fit my holster, but I don't feel like there'll be all that much of a trade-off in concealability. So I like that. I like that. That's a big win as far as the frame geometry goes in comparison to like the Sig. Slide serrations. We have these little guys in the front, which, I mean, I'll take them because I like front slide serrations, but like those things they're so low when I kind of clamp it the way I normally would. I don't really think I'm making use of it all that much. Maybe I am, as opposed to something like this. You know, Glock 42 has nothing like this. This feels much slicker than this, so maybe those little guys are doing something. Just give me full slide serrations. Like, come on, what is this? Move this stuff back. Give me some slide serrations, and let me really be able to work the slide. The scalping that they have, the fish scales, whatever you want to call it, that these guys got in the rear, I'm a big fan of. So just put that right there. That right there. Come on, Smith. Let's make that happen. that would be wonderful. But as little as they are, they do have front and rear slide serrations, which I am a fan of. Onto the sights on the pistol itself. This is like their generic optics ready variant. They have their Performance Center variant that has fiber optic front and rears. I went with this guy because I'm putting a red dot on it, so that's obviously the option that I wanted. What comes with that is either a green or a orange or red, whatever you see that as, bright front, night sights front, and night sight rear. So I like the bright front sight post. It kind of serves as a red dot. If I'm putting in a red dot on it or an optic on it, I would rather have these guys blacked out. But once I mount it, I got to see how it co-witnesses or if it does. And that'll determine what iron sights I put on the gun. But if you're not planning on putting an optic on it, these are very good stock sights. They're definitely better than your standard Glock sights. That's for sure. Which I don't really care all that much about. It doesn't. People make a big deal out of that, like it's a big end of the world thing. Like whatever. Put an optic on your gun. It's 2024. But regardless, the night sights stock are a nice feature. Plate for mounting an optic, again, because it's 2024. So I like that as well. Little loaded, not so much indicator, but you got a little window in here so you can check if there's a loaded round, if you're like anti-press check or what have you. The trigger, this is the nicest part of the gun, I think. Now I didn't notice this before I bought it, but the trigger safety ends up being the vast majority of the trigger itself, if you can kind of see that. Unlike this, like a Glock 42, for example, to where the trigger safety is just that thin little blade, like classic format. The Shield Plus, the majority of that trigger is the safety. So when you press the trigger, it feels almost like you're not even activating or deactivating, however you want to look at it, that trigger safety, which I think I like that. And in all honesty, I wouldn't notice it if I'm really ripping rounds on this guy, in all likelihood. But in sitting here dry firing and playing with the trigger, I like that. What kept me away from Smith & Wesson's, both the M&Ps and the Shield line for years, was that hinge trigger. It just always felt very mushy to me, and I did not enjoy it. But with this trigger in particular, this is a phenomenal trigger. It's almost two-stage-esque in the sense of you have the slack, and then you're immediately hitting this very defined wall. There's a little bit more to push through, which I'm pushing through right now, and then it breaks, and breaks is the appropriate word to describe it. The reset, it's not all that definitive. You can maybe barely hear that, but then you're immediately right there and ready to break again. This is most definitely a better trigger pull than the XL and a Glock 42 or 43X, what have you. The trigger is phenomenal, so I'm very excited to run that and see how that guy functions in actuality. Smith has really done a great job with these new straight blade triggers that they're pushing out in some of their models. I don't know the name of it. I don't, so you'll have to look that up on your own. But yeah, the trigger is phenomenal, and honestly, that's a reason in and of itself to buy this gun, as far as I am concerned. So magazines, it came with 2 magazines, one flush fit 10-round mag. I have small to medium-ish size hands, and with the magazine in, I can get about half of my pinky on the grip there, which I like, because again, grip is important. The more I can get on the gun, the more better it is. So I like that. It also came with a 13-round magazine that has the little extension, which allows me to get a full grip on the gun. Just to put it in comparison to my Glock 19 here, with that 13-round mag in the extension, it's slightly longer. See if we can match that up about. It's slightly longer than a Glock 19 in the light there. Yeah, slightly longer than a Glock 19. It's kind of use a reference that most of you will understand. So I like that as well. So I would pretty much be walking around day to day with the flush fit guy in the gun, and this either on my person or in my bag or what have you. going into a bit more sketchy area, maybe I'll keep the 13 round mag in the gun. But you got options, and I like options. Smith also sells like 15 round variants of these. They have longer magazines so that you have as many bullets as you want feeding your Shield Plus. So, how does this compare to some of the other micro 9s out there? Again, I'm only speaking to my experience with the ones that I have shot and how this feels after kind of fiddling with it and having 0 rounds on this guy. Obviously, my opinion is subject to change after I start putting rounds through it, but from what I've heard other people whose opinions are worthwhile, I don't think my opinions will be changed all that much. I think this is going to be a great gun. In comparison to the XL has 2 additional rounds in the flush fit magazine, and it's only slightly larger. It's only slightly larger in grip than the Smith. So for pretty much the same size, slightly longer barrel, for pretty much the same frame size and profile, you get 12+1 as opposed to 10+1. So if firepower and maximum amount of rounds is your #1 priority in a flush fit setup, maybe the XL is for you. Triggers, we already kind of discussed this. This trigger is better than the XL 365 trigger, for sure. Accessories and options. I haven't done too much digging, but it seems that there's only 1 light on the market for the Shield Plus, as opposed to the XL, which has more. This has a Streamlight TLR, I think it's 7. Yeah, 7 sub. I could only get a Streamlight TLR 6 for this guy. That's the only option, which, you know, it is what it is. It's not the brightest light, but it's something, and I'll take that. As far as this compared to the Hellcat, which I don't have on the table, or the Glock 43X, which I also don't have on the table, I like this one. The 43X, I mean, it's a Glock. That would have been what I got if this gun didn't exist. I can shoot it decently well. I don't love it. It's not my favorite, but it cycles, and I trust it, and it's a Glock. That's about it. Out of the box, this blows the 43X away, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, optics ready, front, rear, well, sort of ish, front, rear slide serrations, night sights, stock, far superior trigger. Feels better in my hand. I mean, that's subjective, but that's my experience with it. And for about $100 cheaper-ish, depending on what you can find where. Out of the box, this beats that. The grip shorter, if that matters to you. So up against the Glock, this wins. Up against this guy would be very interesting, but I don't trust this guy, which is why I got this guy to begin with. So this wins. The Hellcat, I've only got 50 rounds on that, so I'm by no means a definitive expert on the Hellcat. However, I didn't jive with that gun. I didn't like the stock sights on it. Well, I shouldn't say the stock sights. I don't know if they were stock sights. The sights that were on the rental gun that I got had like the U notch in the rear. I don't know if that's how it comes from the factory. I did not like it. It didn't jive with me. That's all I can really say about it. I like this guy better. Not even having fired it. Just the way I mesh with the gun. I like this guy better. A 42, it's a different class of gun as far as I'm concerned. This is like a single stack 380. This is the smallest gun that I own. This also has a roll in my carry systems, but again, they're kind of comparing apples to oranges in a way. This is old tech. This is what we had single stack setups before Sig came out with the Wonder 9s with like the stack and a half double stack micro guns. So kind of not exactly the same, but the Shield wins out versus this guy for a multitude of reasons. So all in all, my initial impression of the M&P Shield Plus is very positive. I'm very excited to get rounds through this thing and to get my red dot and my light delivered so I could get them loaded up in my holster here and we can start doing some work. Stay tuned for a first shots video on this guy, and once I have that and some time and rounds through this guy and to really develop more of a definitive experienced opinion with how it actually functions and performs, I'll be doing a head-to-head comparison with my 365 XL here, and we'll see if my opinions change or not. I'm not a fanboy of either or, really. I'm kind of indifferent to the company. I just want a reliable, well-functioning product. That's all I really care about. So I don't have a loyalty to either brand. So we'll put these guys head to head eventually, and that'll be a fun video. So stick around, subscribe, like this video if all that sounds interesting to you. So thanks, guys.